In this episode, I am answering your questions you've left me on my videos. What's up, friends? I am U.S. Army veteran Christopher Chaos, and for this episode, I'm still in California right now, and I wanted to be able to knock out some content for you guys, so I'm doing something fairly simple, but something good. You guys leave me a lot of great comments on my videos. I thought about doing like a frequently asked type of questions, but a lot of times I don't get the same question. A lot of times it's different questions that are good questions that I usually try to reply to you in the comment section, but some of these ones that I picked are some recent questions that have been asked that I feel that other people might want to know about. So that's what I'm doing in this video. In this video, I'm going to answer some of those questions to you guys. These questions I've already answered in the comment section, but for those of you that may be curious about this stuff, I'm gonna give you some answers to some questions that other people have wanted to know some knowledge about. Now, while this is a very simple video for me to put together for you guys, if you do like it, make sure to show it some love, give it a thumbs up. Let me know that you enjoyed this type of content, ask some questions down in the comments, and maybe I'll do another one like this. Maybe a part 2 or something, I don't know. So let's start off with your questions. This first question came on asking about like how it works if you live off base when you're doing physical training. You're doing physical training and you have a little bit of time between physical fitness and being back at work that you can go shower and change. Well, how does it work if people live off post? How do they, get changed? So most people like that lived fairly close to base, they would just go home and change and shower at home. But for those that maybe lived a little farther away from base, didn't have enough time to go all the way home to shower and change, a lot of times they would go to like the gym, utilize the showers there and change into uniform. Some people would go in if they had like a friend that maybe lived in the barracks, it was a single soldier, then they would go back to their barracks, utilize the shower there in their room, and then change at the barracks. There was even times, like for me personally, where I would just skip the shower if it wasn't that intensive PT or I didn't sweat that much, and I would just utilize the bathrooms at work to change into uniform or an office or something. So there's a lot of different places that people can go and utilize to get changed if they need to between PT and having to be back at work. This next question was related to my recent video talking about how you're not allowed to be out and about like in uniform, especially like out of the bars. And the person wanted to know if you could drink in uniform like on base. Now, back in the day, they used to have a lot of like soldier clubs and NCO clubs and all that stuff like that, where soldiers can go on base to do like these local bars on base that were just for soldiers. That's not really the case anymore. I'm not sure if it's because the Army wants to not necessarily promote drinking or really what the case might be, but there's not a lot of places that have bars on post anymore. You probably still have a lot of places like in Germany or Korea that probably do it, where they have on post bars like soldiers clubs or NCO clubs, because they want to maybe give the soldiers some options if they want to be able to drink with their friends without having to go off base and have a safer environment. But back in the United States, they don't really have this really anymore. If there is, there's probably not very many places that do have on post bars or soldiers clubs or anything like that. So they don't really have that anymore. I know like in Korea, I don't think they really cared too much if you were drinking on post in uniform. I don't think they really liked it. Now it's probably gotten a little bit more stricter, so that's probably not okay anymore. But back like when I was in Korea back in the early 2000s, there was occasionally you would see some people doing that, but they would prefer you to switch into civilian clothes usually before you went to like the soldiers club or the NCO club. So next question, someone was asking, as an 88 Mike, do you get to drive Humvees? And also related to that question, I've seen the question asked before about the MRAP vehicle, the much larger ones that the Army's kind of starting to utilize more than like the Humvee and everything like that. But in that general question, asking if 88 Mikes get to drive these, yes, but so do a lot of MOSs. The Humvee and the MRAP can really be anybody. I mean, you can be an infantryman, you could be a cook, and you'll get to drive a Humvee. That one's kind of a basic vehicle that a lot of people will drive. So if you're looking to, get a chance to drive Humvees in the Army, there's a lot of different MOSs that do that. You don't have to be an 88 Mike to drive a Humvee. A lot of people will drive them. And by the way, Humvees are not as cool as they seem. They can do a lot of cool off-road stuff, but you get that thing over 45, 50 miles an hour and that thing gets shaky as hell, and it's scary, getting that thing up to any kind of fast speed. But they're not very great vehicles, I don't think. MRAPs are pretty cool. They're a little bit nicer, but they still are very loud and kind of shaky when you get to a little bit higher speed still. But they've made a lot of improvements with the MRAP compared to like the Humvee. But anybody really can drive the Humvee. You don't have to be an 88 Mike. 88 Mike more focused on like the larger vehicles, the more complex vehicles with larger equipment to haul around. Those are the kind of vehicles 80 Mikes are focused on. Humvees and MRAPs, really almost any MOS will end up driving those at some point in their career. This next question was asking if you get to keep all your uniforms when you get out of the Army. And for the most part, yes, most of the uniforms you will keep, especially because they don't want to recycle those to other people because they've been touching your body. Also, they're going to fade, they're going to get torn, you know, they're going to wear out. There's only certain uniforms usually you'll have to turn in and return back to them. I know, like, I had a really cool pair of uniforms that were like these special flame resistant ones. They were really nice, and I had to return those ones. That was kind of a bummer because I really liked that uniform. And then like coveralls you'll have to return, and certain other ones. But your main ones, like your physical fitness uniform, your ACUs that you wear on a day-to-day basis, the camouflage ones, and your dress uniforms, those ones you do not turn in, those ones you keep. It's just going to be certain uniforms, your chemical suit, you know, stuff like that is going to have to get turned in. But your main day-to-day uniforms in the morning for PT, and your day-to-day camouflage, and then the dress uniforms, those ones you'll keep. So another one related to my recent video talking about things you can't do in an Army uniform. This one was asking about, like, you know, when a soldier comes home from a deployment and they want to kiss their spouse and, you know, all that kind of stuff. I've had other ones kind of in similar kind of wording asking about, you know, being able to kiss your spouse when you haven't seen them in a long time from a deployment or whatever, because there is a rule that you're not supposed to do PDA while in the Army uniform, like holding hands and kissing and all that stuff like that. Now, when I talked about that in that video, it was really more talking about just in general. When you're out in public, you're with your wife, you're with your husband, you're with your boyfriend, girlfriend, you're not supposed to be like out holding hands, you're not supposed to be out like kissing and making out off in the corner at the, you know, in the food mart or whatever, you know, kind of place. But special events, something like that, like if it's something like you just came back from a deployment, you just got promoted and your spouse was there to pin you in your promotion, you just got an award and they were there to congratulate you, those kind of things are okay. They don't really make they're not gonna make any kind of fuss really about that type of thing. We're talking more about the things like, you know, just, you know, out and about, you're making out, you're out at the mall kissing on your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever the case might be. Those are what I'm talking about with PDA, not these special events. So it is okay if your spouse or whatever, you know, recently got promoted, recently got an award, and you're congratulating them in uniform and giving them a kiss. That's perfectly fine. This question was asked by someone who was in the Army back in like the 60s, and that was back before the Army Service Ribbon existed, as the Army Service Ribbon came about in the early 80s, I think in 1981, asking if they are able to wear the Army Service Ribbon, because they didn't have that. So, and the answer is yes. People who served in the Army prior to 81, when the Army Service Ribbon came out, are allowed to wear the Army Service Ribbon. You're gonna have to go out and probably find one online or something. If you wanna add it to your uniform, maybe have one like me, where I have it displayed up on my wall in one of my rooms, or maybe for special events you like to wear the uniform, you know, for the VFW or for some kind of veterans type of event, then and you want to add that Army Service Ribbon to your uniform, you can do that. So people prior to the 80s, you know, if you do not have an Army Service Ribbon, you are allowed to add that to your uniform. Also, kind of additionally with that, the only really people that are allowed to wear the uniform after they've been out of the military is people who have retired. People who have retired can wear the Army uniform for special events, like something like that, like honoring veterans or whatever. I mean, not just going to, you know, go fishing. You're not supposed to be going out and wearing your Army uniform, but if you're going to special events and you retired from the Army, you are actually legally allowed to wear your Army uniform. If you just got out of the Army after serving 4 years, even like me, after serving 10 years, I'm not supposed to be wearing my Army uniform anymore. It's done and over with. It's gone past me. So retirees are allowed to wear their Army service uniform or Army uniform for special events and stuff. This question comes from the airborne video that I did talking about airborne school, asking if you can basically get like your skydiving license from going to airborne school. And no, it is definitely not the same. Going to airborne school and actually, you know, getting a license to be able to skydive, completely different. When you're in airborne school, it's a lot more controlled. You're tethered to the airplane. You're jumping out of the airplane, and it's got, you know, that leash or whatever you want to, I forget what it's called, but you're jumping out and it's pulling the parachute immediately. Where skydiving, you're free falling. You're not going to be doing that unless you're doing like high speed stuff like Halo school. So it is not the exact same thing. Don't expect to be able to go skydiving because you've been to airborne school in the Army. And this last and final question for this video I've seen this question actually a few times on my Army enlisted rank video, asking if you can prestige or what happens if you prestige in the Army. Well, guess what, buddy? That's not a thing. That's not a real deal. You need to get out of your mom's basement, stop playing Call of Duty, and join the real military. So there you go, hopefully you enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you like this type of video, maybe you wanted to see, you know, more of me answering questions that I like from other videos or whatever, then, you know, make sure to let me know and maybe I'll do a part 2 to this. Maybe I'll do more of these in the future. For the most part, this was just something pretty simple to do, and I thought it would be interesting for some of you who maybe have thought of this question but didn't know the answer to it, but didn't want to leave the comment, or maybe just something, you know, just fills your curiosity, hopefully. But thanks for watching. If you want to check out some more of my videos, I got these guys right over there that you can check out. If you are not subscribed to my channel and you want to catch more of this military related content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm Christopher Chaos. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time. See ya.